Good morning slash evening, everyone. I guess it's a bit of both of us. I'm here today with Nameless, a.k.a. Dennis Mikula of the mighty one-man black metal project Ghost Bath. Dennis, how are you going?
I'm pretty good. It's 7 p.m. now and I've been awake since like 5:30 in the morning. So I'm getting
Wow.
a little tired, but I'm doing well.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll try not to ask you anything too conceptually deep or anything like that then. I like your setup in the background, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's my office and recording studio and everything. So
Wow, yeah, all in one. So, speaking of recording studio, you have new LP Rose Thorn Necklace, which is due out on May the 9th. How are you feeling about the feedback and the response to that album so far from the first two singles that have been released?
seems really positive so far. Probably
Mm.
like the most positive response I've gotten since like Moon Lover. So that's good.
Wow.
Feels good. Um yeah, the first single, like everyone seems really into it. So if they're not saying anything. So
Mhm.
seems pretty good so far.
Yeah, okay. Maybe the haters are just waiting to write up a snarky review on Reddit somewhere else later. But
Yeah,
either
probably
way,
like Decibel or some crap place like that.
yeah. So with the process of recording that album, obviously you're a one man project in terms of your writing, but you've actually been quite busy in terms of your live performances. I see that you've done quite a number of shows and you've got a number of shows lined up for the year as well.
Yeah, I mean, we try to tour as often as possible. I love touring. I think we all
Mm,
do. Um,
mm,
yeah, this year we're hitting up some places we've never been, like South America. Well, kind of South America, just like Honduras, Costa Rica, Mexico, and then later this year, hopefully we're going to like China, Japan, Taiwan, Singapore, just like dream places, bucket list places that I want to tour. So
mm.
yeah, it'll be awesome. And putting out a new album really helps be able to tour because you got like some more hype, you got new music, so people want to see you live. So yeah, I'm just happy we got another album out, so we can just like get back on the road and keep doing it.
Mm, mm. And I think with the sort of style that you're playing, and especially because you're in charge of a lot of the songwriting, it's interesting because I think a lot of atmospheric or progressive black metal, post black metal. Well, we can pull a million genre names out of the air, but that sort of general orbit. Um,
Mhm.
Typically, we find that those artists are recording at home; they don't actually tour. How do you find the process of bringing your written material through to a band and that playing live? Well, how does that kind of work for you? Is there a bit of a sort of a transition in terms of getting the band members up to speed on the material? Like, how's that process sort of look for you?
Sure. All of us have like I've known these guys since way before this band. I
Mm,
met them touring with other bands, so we've been touring like more, I guess, DIY, smaller shows since we were really young.
mm,
And the main four guys, like the guitar players and bass player, have been with me since we started touring back in 2016, I think.
mm,
So we've been doing it for quite a while. And so them like learning the material that I've written is like nothing new at this point.
mm,
Usually I'll show them the parts. Like if there's anything like weird, we don't live in the same location, so I'll like take a video and like show them where my finger positions are sometimes, or they'll just listen to the record and like it's just a matter of like splitting up what guitarist is playing which guitar part and what makes the most sense. And then
mm,
sometimes we'll like pick a song, be like, oh yeah, let's play this one live. Like for example, Unbearable on the last record. And then we started like working on it. We're like, oh, this doesn't really work live because we kind of just whether we write it together or write it myself. We have worked on like the last record was written by the full band. This one's written by
okay.
just me.
Yeah.
You can never really tell until you like try it in a room together if it's something's going to work live. So sometimes it doesn't. We'll just pick a different song. And
Mm,
over the years, especially the records that have been out, we've kind of figured out which ones work the best live and which ones kind of don't
mm,
work, or like just for an album. So Yeah, it's just like splitting up the guitar parts, and then we'll meet together like 2 days before a tour and get in one studio room and just like rehearse, go through the set like 10 times, and then we're ready to go. So
Wow. So it sounds like you guys have had a long enough relationship together in a band that they're pretty cluey into your writing style, your influences, and pretty adept at being able to pick that up for a tour as well.
yeah, yeah, it's really smooth. Like we're all on the same page. We never really fight as a band. Like we're all just like, I don't know, we're just on the same page on like pretty much every level. I mean, little
Mm,
arguments here or there, but like nothing crazy. So I don't know.
mm.
We just kind of once we're in a room together, like playing the material, we're really good at just like figuring out how to make it sound good. And the only thing is like we can't keep a drummer, so we always have a different drummer, and that's like always been the
That is,
problem. And
I have that issue myself, so I know how it
yeah,
feels.
yeah, I don't know what it is about drummers, but I mean, the one we just had on his last tour, we hope he wants to stick with us because he's super solid, really nice guy, good to hang out with, and he can play the material very well. So we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, awesome. And let's have a chat a bit about the material. And it's great that you've got that. That's so good. That must feel so good to watch a project evolve from something where it was centralized on you, and over time it's like it's actually evolved out into these other members and can be something where you're regularly touring too. I imagine that must feel satisfying.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, I was like when I first started the project, my house had just flooded that I was living in, so I like moved into my parents' basement between like living situations, and I just like wrote it on my computer like by myself and just to write like just for the sake of doing it. And yeah, to be like, okay, now we're going to I don't know, tour this festival in Romania or whatever. It's just like
Yeah,
crazy. Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
by now I'm kind of used to it. Like it was I try to like take a step back a lot and like don't take it for granted because you never know how long it'll last or anything like that. But
mm,
yeah,
mm.
you adapt to it very quickly too. That's the
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. And it's a good thing to adapt to as well too. So with Rose Thorn Necklace, so obviously you've just come off the back of a conceptual trilogy. What thematically with Moon Lover, etc. With Rose Thorn Necklace, is this a sort of a contained theme? What's the sort of the main kind of, I guess, concept behind the album?
Um, so it's a little hard to explain, but it's like basically came out of like me being really depressed after like a really shitty tour where we were all sick the whole tour and a bunch of stuff went on and happened and it really sucked. And I got home, I was really depressed, and I was like, okay, I just gotta like write music. So that's kind of how I deal with a lot of stuff. And so I don't know, the ideas behind the album were just like being in a really weird mind mindset.
Mm,
And I talk about like really crazy like sexual things and like I don't know, it's just like a lot of like mental illness and
mm,
stuff,
mm,
like getting that out. And
mm. There's
um
basically like an expression of a lot of feelings and symptoms and just mood, really. It's kind of a manifestation of that more than anything like, here's XYZ theme on a plate. It's more just an overall emotional expression.
yeah, yeah, I think yeah, overall cuz like each song has its own like topic or what I'm
Mm,
trying to talk about or like an event or like a fantasy or whatever it may be that I'm trying to
mm,
describe. But like yeah, the overall whole thing together, yeah, is just more like based on like the feeling and like in general, I'd say the main thing that ties them together, it's like beauty and love, and then like pain and like
mm.
gross and grotesque. So like the contrast of those things are kind of what
Right.
I'm exploring through the whole thing. Yeah.
So it's sort of and I think that that's definitely something's been an ongoing theme. throughout your work and throughout this sort of style is that sort of that marrying of that romanticism with the grotesque. And I think it's interesting because a lot of the tropes around metal and having a look at that artwork and that sort of thing, the artwork, the lyrics, all that sort of thing, people go, oh, that's just negative. That's so negative and dark and depressive. Da 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 da. For you, what was the experience like going through that depression? And what was the experience like with actually crafting that material? Like how did you find that that helped you in terms of your mental health?
I would say in general, like my baseline is just like slightly depressed at all times.
Mm,
So that's kind of
can
my
relate.
normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Mm,
then but like when I was writing this album, like sometimes it's like really bad. So like that's where I was at with it, and
mm.
I
So
don't know.
could
It was not fun. It was like
yeah.
I was just in here working and like playing guitar for like 12, 16 hours a day, just every day, and like
Mm,
obsessively doing that just to like I guess try to get through it. Like
yeah. Yeah.
just to like
Mm,
forget about it or like use that energy towards something because I didn't know what else to do really.
mm, mm. And with the fact that you're dealing with depression whilst trying to write music, do you feel like you've often got like a couple of conflicting forces, say like the urge to get the music out, to express yourself, to create versus depression itself? Do you find like going through the songwriting process, is that something that's sort of, or is it a little bit more frictionless? How does it sort of look for you in terms of, I guess, producing the songs versus trying to manage that at the same time?
Um, I just think I've been playing guitar for so long that it's just like this natural thing for me. Like it's just like an extension of my body
Mm,
almost at this point. Like I can like feel something and just like pick up a guitar and just like express it through the guitar. Like second
mm,
nature almost. So
mm.
like I don't know. The term's called sublimation.
Yeah.
I learned in psychology. It's like taking the negative energy, putting it into something creative. And I think I'm just like I've gotten really good at doing that. So
Mm,
yeah, it's more like frictionless. Like it's
mm.
just what I do when I'm
Yeah.
feeling that way. Like I only write this music like when I'm feeling that way. So
Right.
I don't know. They're just kind of connected, I guess.
Mm, mm. And I think it is, I think sublimation's a good point. Like Freud has some pretty whack ideas, but I think he was pretty on the money about that one. Um, and I think that for me as a listener of your music too, and of metal in general, I think I find that the genre itself is sublimating. Like that's the reason we're listening to this kind of stuff. Um, with the actual going back to the album, circling back to itself though, with the artwork, walk us through a little bit around the artwork because that's some pretty intense artwork, and I think we're talking about that theme of romanticism. I couldn't think of anything better, really, in terms of marrying those two concepts visually than that art. So, yeah, if you just walk us through a bit around that, the cover art for Rose Thorn Necklace.
Mm, so just a piece that was already created, and that's what I always do for the covers. Like I don't commission something specifically for like an album cover art because I just feel like I'd be bad at telling them what to do, and I don't know. I'd rather have like something that was like created for itself, like for its own purpose, than
Right.
like
Mm,
finding something that also connects to what I did and like bringing those two things together. I think this one, the colors were definitely like one of the main things that brought me to it. It just reminds me of like flesh and blood, which is like the main
mm,
thing. Um, the lyrics describe a lot of stuff like that, like wounds and stuff like that. So like the purple, red, and like beige, and I don't know that just reminded me of that. And then oh, the way the hands and like arms are like reaching and like mangled, it was just like the perfect emotion for what I wanted. So
mm,
yeah, when I
mm.
saw it, I like knew right away. that was
Mm.
the piece for it. Just like every other album, like as soon as I see the piece, I'm like, yep, this is it. And then I have to really hope that the artist will let me use it, because then I
Yeah.
have to like reach out to them and see. So yeah.
Mm, mm. And then I think it having had a listen to the new LP and us discussing it, it seems like I mean we've talked before that a lot of it was around the feeling, but I can't help but think that in terms of the concept, you're really going for that more sort of organic and visceral, sort of lyrical and musical angle.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I don't know. So like the first time I ever used lyrics in Ghost Bath was the last album, Self Loather, and I think I
Mm,
was still kind of learning. Like I still like them, but I don't know. I think I kind of like held myself back with like descriptions or what I wanted to say. I was kind of making things more abstract or like not being direct with stuff. So I was really with this one I wanted to be more direct, be more specific and like what I was describing. and
mm,
uh and then with the music um as well as like I don't know, it's more bright and articulate sounding than the other albums. You can like really hear all the little pieces and then drum hits and guitar picks and stuff like that.
Because you recorded your stuff in home at your studio, and I believe the drummer recorded it. Is it Heaven and Hella Studios? Is it?
Yeah, it's his own home
Yeah,
drumming studio where like yeah, his name's Mike Heller. So yeah, Heaven and Heller.
yeah.
Yeah, so he like does stuff for bands. He's recorded for like Abigail Williams and like Psy and like different bands like that. So he like had his whole setup and I sent him the tracks with the program drums and then he did his own thing on them. And,
So in terms of putting the music together, you've got a home studio, and obviously you've got guitar, bass, synth, that sort of thing. In terms of your workflow, what's behind your workflow? Are you using a lot of stuff that's amplified, like VSTs? Or like, is a lot of it in digital audio workstation? Do you have everything amped up? Like, what's your setup for things
well, yeah,
music?
you keep telling me the studio and I'm just laughing because it's just like I plug my guitar into my little interface here with one plugin and I just use FL Studio and just
Yeah.
yeah, for this one I use Neural DSP amps. So I use the Soldano and just recorded everything that way. And the workflow is like I'll have the riff or an idea, and as I'm doing it, I'll like drag and place like drum program from Easy Drummer into the playlist and play along with that, and then just like layer parts and just go start to end basically.
Mm, mm,
Like usually a whole song will be done in like one session or at least like the main bulk of it and then I'll come back to it and make little tweaks but like yeah I
mm.
try to I'll work on one riff evolve that idea through the song and then from start to end I'll just kind of do it in a few hours usually.
So it sounds like the guitar is basically spearheading, like that's kind of the start of the project management chart, really, by the sounds of it, often. Like it actually starts with the riff and the rest kind of follows behind shortly after. Is that how it sort of flows for you musically?
Yeah, it's always just like a guitar riff first or a guitar idea and
Mm,
even when we were writing together as a band it'll be like one of the guitarists will bring their idea or riff and then we'll like play off of that and yeah, the vocals are always the very last thing. Like I don't even yeah, the lyrics and the vocals were all done last and after the fact when everything else was already done.
mm. And in terms of your playing in general, like guitar, because you've got a pretty unique, distinct vocal style, do you have any sort of influences or inspirations that you could point to specifically, or not specifically, I guess more generally for guitar and vocals? Like, is there anyone that influences your style in both in particular, or it's a bit of a mix?
Um okay, so for guitar, I don't know. I came from like the Midwest in the U.S. and it was a lot more like emo music and like hardcore type stuff. So I'd say
Mm,
that's kind of where the root of things start. But also, my guitar teacher is like a jazz player. Um, I mean, I only learned from him for like 6 months, but it's kind of like the very beginning of me learning. So it
yeah.
kind of formed. But I think early on with the guitar, I just started doing my own thing. So I think that I don't have too many like influences. Like I can't, I'm not someone who like knows guitarists like in a band or anything like that. Like I can't be
Mm,
like, oh, Mike from this band. Like I don't know. I don't really know guitarists. I like kind of look at the music as a whole. Vocals though, like the high pitched shrieking type stuff came from a few different influences. Definitely like depressive black metal style, like Silencer and German Austere. They're from
mm,
Australia, actually. Yeah, those bands are like the main influence from like for like doing that high pitched style. And then when I started doing the more traditional black metal, I guess you'd call it, like mids and lows. Who was I listening to? I really like Betrayal of Guilt, their vocals.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. Fantastic band. Yeah.
yeah, it's like just like that gargly sound. I really like it the way he does vocals. So um, maybe I just like strive to be like him. I know I have my own vocal style and voice, but yeah, he's like someone I enjoy his vocals. I'm trying to think of anyone else. For like the lows, I was listening to like I had to learn how to do proper vocals because I was just doing like the high pitched screams and stuff.
Mm,
I was listening to a lot of like more death metal stuff, more modern death metal, like Witch Vomit or like I don't know bands in that vein. I don't really I don't listen to them too much. I was just like listening to them to kind of get the idea of how to do those low type
mm.
vocals.
It's a, it's pretty interesting the kind of the broadness, the broad range of influences that go into this. I mean, you're saying you've got a bit of there's a bit of that Midwest emo going into it, a bit of jazz, and vocally now you're sort of experimenting with different like death metal, black metal, that sort of thing. Um, what about for yourself in terms of your personal music taste? Like, do you have any particular bands you're really enjoying at the moment, just in general?
So I go through like seasons. I think a lot of people do where like, oh, I'm just
Mm.
listening to like one style or one band for a long time and then I kind of move on and I still like them, but I'll like not listen to them anymore. Like
Yeah.
right at this moment, I'm just listening to a ton of depressive black metal and stuff, like really small bands that like I don't know, they have like 50 listeners on Spotify or something. Um, let's see. One of the new records that's coming out is by a band called Karg, Karg. It's like members of Harakiri for the Sky. I really like that band, Karg.
Cool.
And I've been listening to a lot of vaporwave because I own a vaporwave label. So just a ton of vaporwave stuff and like 90s grunge type stuff. So like band live, Alice in Chains, Nirvana, that kind of thing.
Awesome.
That's what I'm listening to right now. I don't know. It
That,
changes.
that's great. So in general, with your kind of you're recording at home and you might think to yourself, oh, it's well, I'm here, I'm at home, I've got to set up that sort of thing. I think it's a lot of people aspire to write their own music these days, self-produce, go through the whole process themselves, but they might be a bit like daunted or worried or a little bit nervous, but actually have a lot of themes, ideas, concepts they're willing to bring to life. For those people out there who are looking to say, write something say similar to yourself and produce it get it out into the world, as you have done over time with a band, but they're a little bit like, "Ugh," about that first step. What kind of advice would you give them around getting into this process of writing and creating the music yourself? Like, if you had any sort of general, generic tips for people, what would you give them? You reckon?
First of all, like the equipment you have and like how good it sounds doesn't matter. Like if you're writing like good music or have good ideas, it'll shine through. Like when I first started Ghost Bath and did like funeral, I just had like my guitar was like $100. Is really cheap guitar. I just had I didn't even have FL Studio. I had a demo version, so I had to write everything in one take because it wouldn't save the project.
Wow.
And like I messed up notes and yeah, I don't know. I think yeah, so don't worry about equipment. I think too many people are just like, "Oh, I got to get like this expensive guitar. It has to sound like this or whatever." Like that really doesn't matter that much. I mean, I guess unless you're like doing something very specifically that needs a polished sound, maybe I don't know. You'll have to like figure that part out. But so that's one thing, and then I don't know. I'd say it's hard to like explain how, but like just don't try to be like everyone else and like try to think you have to play something a certain way. That's like the main thing of people who like are like apprehensive or like won't just put stuff out. They're always just like trying to sound like another band or trying to sound like someone else instead of themselves. And it's hard to like tell someone to just do your own thing, but like
Yeah.
that's basically the advice is like use
Yeah.
your own voice and like be
Mm,
unique and like even
mm.
if people like laugh at your stuff, which people did my stuff all the time like right away because I mean the vocals are like crazy high pitched and did not they sounded weird. That's fine. Like as long as you get like a reaction at all, it's better than someone being like, "Oh yeah, that's all right." Like if they're laughing or anything like I don't know. I'd say a big reaction is better than no reaction.
Absolutely. Solid advice. And we look forward to seeing, I look forward to seeing the reaction to the album. I look forward to hearing news about tours. Um, Last sneaky tw question before I go. You mentioned a bit of Southeast Asian tour locations. You came close to Australia on the map. I gotta ask
I
it
know.
as an Aussie. Any plans for tours?
No plans yet.
Yeah.
If anything comes up, we'll definitely like jump at it. Yeah, I think like I mean it makes sense that we're right there in Asia, but it's like a completely different like promoter. I think so. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
it's not super easy to just hop over there, but yeah, if we
Yeah.
get like an opportunity or whatever, or like we'll push for it. Obviously, like in the coming years, like try to get over there. Yeah.
Well, maybe my listeners slash followers, readers can start drumming up some of that support so we can make it happen. But
Yeah.
it sounds like you guys have a lot of tours booked ahead of you. So I hope you and the band enjoy getting Rose Thorn Necklace out there in a live setting with your upcoming tours, and people can check out your stuff from May the 9th. So, Dennis. I'm gonna let you off the hook because you probably got another one on the interview gauntlet. So thanks for having a chat with me today, and look forward to seeing how the reception to the new album goes.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, thanks so much. Take care.
All right, you too. Bye.
See ya.